Why is Marshawn Lynch, he of getting drunk, driving, flipping cars in the middle of the strip in Las Vegas? Why is he on my TV? Why does Gavin Newsom have a podcast with him? And why, of course, is Mark Cuban going on? Why is this guy a thing? I mean, a lot of us got canceled or attempted to be canceled for far less. I mean, Marshawn Lynch is a big fat drunk. And I'll say it, and I'll mean it, because he is. Look it up. But why is this a thing? I get it, street cred. Hey, I like Skittles. Hey, I'm only here so I don't get fined. No, shut up. Shut your fat ass up. Anyway, while speaking to Governor Gavin Newsom on his podcast with Marshawn Lynch. See, Gavin Newsom, the whitest of all white dows, trying to get down, trying to get real. You know what I mean? Trying to get some street cred, yo. Jesus. Marshawn Lynch, billionaire and former knee pad surrogate to Kamala Harris. Maybe Cuban, Mark Cuban, was a knee pad surrogate to, I don't know. Her husband, Mark Cuban, is dismissing, because all of these guys are geniuses, President-elect Donald Trump's popularity among athletes, pro athletes, by stating they're basically stupid. Here's Cuban.
As an ex-NBA owner, it's interesting. The other day, I called literally 65 of my clients across the NFL. And I said, hey, I'm just curious. I don't care who you're voting for. I'm just curious. Who do you think the majority of the locker room is voting for? And universally, every one of them said Trump. And you're an NBA guy. Why do you think that is as far as the athletes in terms of their mindset?
Yeah, they think he's going to be better for money, and that's why I'm out there telling him he's not. The tariffs he's trying to propose, awful for athletes, right? They'll make, but bigger picture, look, Kamala will probably increase their income tax 2%. And to some people, that's a big deal, right? To other people, they'll put the country first. But the bigger thing is how he's going to treat people. If, every single one of those players does something in the community, almost all of them have foundations that get involved in the community. And if they think that Donald Trump is going to be supportive of people of color, they've got another thing coming. It's just going to make their lives harder. But look, athletes have never been known for doing the work in terms of most people. 99% of people just now, like we were saying before, just get their information from memes. And damn well, players are on Instagram all day, every day looking for their highlight.
Well, okay, then why did Cuban and others make it such a big deal? Remember, the NBA is the league that said we're not going to have games on Election Day. And that started not when any other candidate was running except for Donald Trump in 2020. Why did they do that? Like, if these guys are dumb and they're only looking for their highlight, why did you do that? You, Mark Cuban, and other owners, governors, and that mealy-mouthed douchebag-looking commissioner, you all decided it was important that our NBA players show their, quote, voice. And you all knew that their voice was for the opponent of Donald Trump, the human vegetable that was Joe Biden. And you all surmised this year, you did. You surmised this year that they were all going to do the same. There is not a chance in holy hell athletes were going to vote for Kamala Harris, because athletes aren't biased like that. Athletes look at Kamala Harris and go, wait a second. I get it, as an African American, I'm supposed to vote for her. But like a lot of African Americans, they're like, well, what's she going to do for me? Like a lot of white people, what's she going to do for me? And Cuban can try to say all this, and we'll see how it plays out. So far, so good, and Trump hasn't even been in the presidency. People around the country are bending their knee, and athletes like that. Cuban with his little lisp, and I think the whole thing's a beard, but I'll not dive into that. Cuban, to me, is a typical guy that wanted something. It didn't work out. Now he's bitching about the thing that he wanted while distancing himself. Every owner, every governor, every whatever you want to call him, commissioner, assistant commissioner in the NBA, thought that black athletes of the NBA had influence over black people to vote for the candidate of their choosing, which was Harris. And it backfired. because I told you this. Every time before the election, we had somebody on as an athlete that was bitching about Trump. We told you, yeah, they're just doing that publicly. They'll vote for Trump. I mean, these are people that I absolutely know. Now, they're not smart enough. Now, they don't understand enough. Now, they're just looking at their own highlights. It'll be interesting to see in the next election. Maybe they're stuck with this. I don't know. But in 2028, you think they'll take the entire day off from the NBA? I don't know. But that's what they did, and we all know it. Cuban was he was one of the leading owners in the NBA when they did this. You know, we're going to separate politics from sports, not the NBA. We're going to kneel. We're going to put Black Lives Matter on the court. We're going to do all the pandering things that the athletes laughed at, but said, hey, if you idiots, you white guys feel so guilty, you governors, you owners feel so guilty, we're down with it. I was told the biggest joke ever, and I was told this by an NBA player that was there, was when those clowns were getting drunk and high in the hotel during COVID, and they had a team or they had a players meeting. And LeBron James, a friend of mine, he was sitting said it was the dumbest collection of human beings ever. It was the smelliest room because guys didn't shower. Half of them were high. That's what the NBA is. I mean, go back and look at all that smoke or up in smoke with that idiot Matt Barnes and that bigger idiot Steven Jackson. Listen to how they talk about their experiences in the NBA. It's a bunch of drug-addled buffoons. But you thought they were going to vote the way you wanted them to vote. Not a chance. 2% to an NBA player is a lot of money. And they're smarter than Cuban gives them credit for. Of course they are. Cuban may not be as smart as we give him credit for. Like, we give Cuban great credit. Came up with a great idea, broadcast.com, but I don't know, man. Cuban also appeared on the Steam Room with Ernie Johnson and Sir Charles. Sir Charles last week. Johnson asked Cuban whether having Barkley on the ticket with him would help him make the decision to run for president after all. Everybody wants to run for president. Stephen A. Smith's trying. Cuban, put him on the ballot. Here's the answer.
Charles can talk to anybody, and put himself in any circumstance and get along with everybody. And I think that's what we need.
Would your feeling on a run for office change if it were, say, a ticket of you and the Chuckster?
We'd win.
Yes, absolutely. We would win running away. No question about it.
Hey, Mark.
Let's put this into perspective. We would win. I get it, man. I love Charles Barkley. He's been very good to me. But I got to tell you, his show, when he delved outside of the NBA with Gayle King. Now, Gayle King's a network star. It lasted like 3 episodes. It's hard to do a show like this and keep it going. And that's why I always talk about our great team here, because they're the ones that make this thing going. If I just sat in front of a camera every morning for 2 hours, there would be 0 people watching. But because of our team, this thing has taken off pretty good. Well, Barkley with Gayle King had CNN behind him. And it didn't last 10 minutes. So, okay, I get it. Everybody would win. Everybody's going to say they're going to win. But one thing about Mark Cuban, he became imminently unlikable. Like, you tell me a woman is going to vote for Mark Cuban? You telling me that? You telling me, okay. Look, I'm not even saying this seriously. I'm just reacting to the news of the day. This is so unserious. The only thing that would be serious about it would be that Cuban would have enough money to do it. That's it. But, man, has anybody fallen from, like, mega respected to where Mark Cuban is now? That's sad because I like Cuban. I do. I like Cuban. Speaking of another person that has fallen, back in the day, Michael Smith and Jemele Hill were given a show, The Six. It was going to be the hip-hop, screw you white people, we're making this our way kind of a show on SportsCenter, and it failed miserably. I mean, miserably. First off, Jemele Hill is eminently unlikable. Mike Smith, pretty nice guy, but a milquetoast guy. He is white as me, trying to be something that he wasn't. And when you're on TV, people look right through this. They do. They look right through this. This is why I have become king of all media, because you all see me and you're like, love that guy. He tells you the truth. Okay. Well, the insufferable one, Jemele Hill, who's known for posting extremely racist rants against white people, is back at it again. Good for her. She took a little time. She did. I thought she went the Blue Sky or Michael Blutarsky or 0.00 for those of you old enough to get the reference. She's blaming racism and misogyny for President-elect Donald Trump winning the election. Of course it has to be that. Here's the ridiculous one.
So, yes, I take the reelection of Donald Trump quite personally because of the person themselves, but also as a Black woman. And that is because I think for a lot of Black women, we can relate to Kamala Harris just in the sense of some of us have been in that position before where we felt qualified, if not overqualified in many respects.
Let me
and
see.
For a lot of Black women, even though we should not internalize it this way, it felt like a particular rejection of some of the things that we've been fighting for, or it felt like a particular rejection of sort of our place and how we're seen in this society. And I don't think it's by any accident that both of Trump's presidential victories have been against women. Hillary Rodham Clinton, of course, in 2016, and now in Kamala Harris, because some of those same tropes have come up in both elections. And so it does make you wonder at what point, I hate to use the word ready, but at what point will America be ready for a woman to be in that role? I think it's a question we have to ask ourselves. It's like, what is it going to take? Because I see all this post-election autopsies trying to box around what I think was pretty obvious about how racism and misogyny were driving a lot of the coverage, the opinions, and even how the electorate saw Kamala Harris. And so.
Look at me, Jemele Hill. Look at me. I'm going to tell you when. I'm going to tell you exactly when America will elect a woman candidate. When there is a woman candidate that is likable. When there is a woman candidate that has policies. When there is a woman candidate that doesn't skip a state, Wisconsin, in her campaign that turned out to be her downfall. When, like you, we find a woman candidate that doesn't just talk and talk about nothing. What Jemele Hill said right there is nothing. She literally said nothing. Look, if you feel that to be a rejection of Black women, that's the way the world works. It is. I felt like when Joe Biden was elected over Donald Trump, it was a rejection of common sense and the people as a whole. It was a victory for the media. So if you feel, good for you, go over there and feel that way. It was a rejection of a lousy-ass, word salad-driven, propped-up candidate that never got a vote in her life, who happened to be a Black woman. She could have been a giraffe. She could have been a movie star from the 40s. She could have been George freaking Clooney. She could have been the whitest of white men, Mark Jones. And it would not have worked because she had nothing to say to the American people. And make it about race or being a woman or whatever other victimhood you would like to make it, the truth of the matter is she was a god-awful candidate that never earned a vote, that literally pushed her own, because this is your words, her own people away. And if that was a rejection of women, find a better woman. If that was a rejection of a Black woman, find a better Black woman. Because frankly, the last two women you put out there were god-awful. Awful. Period. Unlikable. Nonsensical. Evil in one case, ridiculous in the other case. You know what? Keep talking, because apparently we're listening, because we keep talking about you on our show. But you, ma'am, the victimhood is awesome. I love when people continue with victimhood while their victimhood makes them a boatload of money. I don't know that she's made a boatload of money. I don't. Her book flopped. I don't know. You want to win? Get a better candidate. Period. Strong case to be made when talking about the woke sports media personalities and their purpose of direction. It is believed around the internet that media race baiters could cost Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen the MVP award like they did to Nikola Jokic. I don't think so. Look, you got to understand the NBA media. The NBA media, the black media, wants to be down for the cause. They want to be clubbing. They want to be with the rappers. They want to do all the things that these young athletes are doing, maybe get a side piece. You know, if you watch an NBA media guy will go into a locker room or talk to a black athlete far different than he talks to anybody else, including other black folks. They're ridiculous. They have some pull in the NBA. They do. Because, well, the white guys are scared to death. The white media are like, hey, man, I better not criticize anybody or I'll be a racist. Now, I think that's going away. I think white guys are like, screw you, which they should be. The NBA, NFL media is totally different. The NFL media is like old guys. We got a guy here, Mike Chappell, who's been covering the NFL, certainly the Colts, since 1984. And Mike Chappell, a very nice man, said this the other day. Well, you know, for the first time with Anthony Richardson, we're going to have to look beyond just the statistics. That's how stupid these guys are. A lot of us, I'll say it in the media, like me, we've always looked beyond that because we have a background other than looking at a box score. NFL media is not built like the NBA media, so I'm going to disagree with this entire premise. I do agree with this, though. November 2023, Jokic was a clear favorite to win the NBA MVP award, odds around minus 220. Then infamously, ESPN pundit Kendrick Perkins, the big stupid racist, accused MVP voters of favoring white players like Jokic. His accusations scared voters. White voters didn't want to be called racist. Black voters didn't want to be labeled as sellouts. It's exactly true. They wanted to go to the club. Ultimately, Embiid won the award. The takeaway was obvious. MVP voters were influenced by hysteria espoused on TV, especially racial hysteria. And that's worth remembering as the final weeks of the NFL regular season approach. Different media. Currently, Buffalo Bills' Josh Allen is a minus 220 favorite to win the NFL MVP at DraftKings. Mike Greenberg discussed in a recent essay, Josh Allen is the most unfairly judged player in the NFL. ESPN NFL analyst Dominic Foxworthy and little ratty racist admitted on air that he roots for Allen to fail because he attracts a type of fans who like dogs and American flags. Count me among them. I don't like my dog much. The push to cost Allen the MVP began weeks ago. Bomani Jones spent literally 2 hours on X bemoaning that the media might give Josh Allen the MVP award after he led the Bills to a victory over the Chiefs, handing Kansas City its first loss in nearly a year. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the conversation sounded a little different. The Lamar fanboys were no longer advocating for him. They shifted their focus to running back Saquon Barkley. They're good. I'm telling you, it's a different media. It is. It's a different media. Like a bunch of older white guys don't give a rat's ass about whether they're called racist, about whatever. They don't. Dudes like Bomani Jones are laughed at in NBA or NFL media circles. They just are. They're just laughed at as, oh, look at that idiot. Now, Jemele Hill has no suck. Somehow, some way in the NBA, they do. Well, you know. No, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. Everybody said, well, you know. I don't know. I'm just telling you the way it is. People don't like it. The NBA media, I'm telling you, the guys there, if you see a guy, African-American guy, on TV or as a writer, he's trying to be part of the club. If you see a white guy on there, he's scared to death that he's going to be called racist. We had an NBA guy here in Indy who went by one name, like Jay Monty or something. Like what? He didn't know whether a basketball was blown up or stuffed. He's fallen all the way up to being the sports editor, I think, of the Orlando Sentinel. He didn't know his ass from third base, but he went by one name. J. Michael, I think, was his name. Oh, okay, like Cher. No, it's a ridiculous world, and I'm kind of digging it. I am. I'm digging all of it. Danico Ryans on Monday blamed the quarterback, Jaguars quarterback Lamar Jackson, and the players for overreacting to the hit that Houston Texans linebacker Azeez Al-Shaair, who has been flagged numerous times for unsportsmanlike hits. They're blaming the players of the Jaguars for defending the quarterback, and he's also blaming Trevor Lawrence for not sliding properly and suggested the reason the quarterback got hurt is that he didn't slide and get down quickly enough. Yeah, okay, Danico Ryans. Let's hear from Danico Ryans.
Anything from the league office regarding a possible suspension from Azeez, and do you have anything to add on that?
No, with the entire Azeez, situation, we stand behind Azeez and everything, that came from that. Of course, he unfortunately hit on the quarterback, but it's also it's twofold, right? I mean, a lot of the quarterbacks in this day and age, they try to take advantage of the rule where they slide late and they try to get an extra yard. And now, you're a defender, a lot of onus is on the defender, right? Whether it's on the sideline or where it's on the quarterback, you don't know what a guy's thinking. You don't know if a guy's standing up and he's continuing to run. You don't know. And then you get a late slide and you hit the guy. Unfortunate that Trevor got hurt. We hope Trevor is okay, but it's also, if we're sliding, we have to get down. If we're getting out of bounds, we get out of bounds. And that rule is there to protect the quarterbacks. And we want our quarterbacks to be safe in the league. So we just have to be safe. And we're sliding, make sure we're keeping our heads down. So, and the entire thing is, Azeez hits the guy, but their sideline overreacts. And it turns into a melee. It wasn't our guys. It's their team overreacted, pushed our guy, dragging our guy to the sideline. So that's uncalled for on that side. We have to be better on the sidelines as well with both teams.
Oh, I love when coaches give us the education. We have to be better. What do you expect them to do, moron? What do you expect them to do? Seriously. The guy takes a cheap shot, and it's not happening in a vacuum. Now, let me explain something to you. This Azeez guy has been a pain in the ass his whole career. He has had numerous fines for cheap shots. So let me explain this to you. What happens is guys in the league talk. Guys in the league know who's a good guy, who's a bad guy, who's trying to hurt you, who's not. They know these things. They do. And to act like, somebody overreacted because, we just, it's the quarterback's fault. What? No, they did not overreact. They protected their guy. And that's the most amazing thing. Here is Azeez. Let's go back to 2023. Got fined $14,000 for a late roughing the passer. Got fined $11,000 for a violent face mask. Fighting in Chicago in 2024, $12,000. Late hit versus Tennessee, another $11,000. 3-game suspension on Trevor Lawrence. See, guys get up there, and I get it. Football guy has to defend his guy because football guy's too afraid that the players will revolt if you don't smooch their ass. But the facts of the matter are that's his history. Players knew it. They knew who did it, and they defended their quarterback. Of course, little white general manager has to get involved in it, and he's talking tough. He's throwing out swear words. Here's a guy, I'm sorry, my bad. Here is what John Runyon, the vice president of policy and rules, had to say. After the illegal hit, you proceeded to engage in a brawl, which you escalated when you pulled an opponent down to the ground by his face mask. After the referee announced that you were disqualified for the hit, you're unsportsman, you removed your helmet and re-engaged with your opponent while walking down and across the field, which started another physical confrontation. Your lack of sportsmanship and respect for the game of football and all those who play, coach, shut up with all this. Enjoy watching it. Is troubling. Does not reflect the core values of the NFL. Oh, shut up. Your continued disregard for NFL playing rules puts the health and safety of both you and your opponents in jeopardy and will not be tolerated. That one I can get, but shut up with that core stuff. That core stuff is whatever way the wind blows. It takes all of us. End racism. Okay. Here's Nick Cassio. Little white guy's got to chime in because, well, little white guy wants to make sure everybody knows that he's as dumb as his coach. Here's little white guy Cassio. Nick Cassio, says they're characteristic of Abdul Aziz's bullshit despite all evidence to the contrary. Here it is.
Look, it is what it is. I think the big thing from our standpoint, and all teams want this, is just some level of consistency. And we've talked to the league, quite frankly, but we don't have a good explanation. D'Amico talked to them yesterday. So, I mean, it is what it is. I'm sure Aziz will go through whatever process he's going to go through, and then we'll deal with it accordingly. But I think what we take umbrage is just the picture that's been painted about Aziz, his intentions, who he is as a person. I mean, quite frankly, it's bullshit. And it's unfair to the individual. It's unfair to the organization. I mean, we love everything about Aziz Al-Shaair, what he means to this team, what he brings to this team. He was elected a captain after being here for 4 months. So, again, like, we have a lot of respect for our opponents. We have a lot of respect for other teams in this league. We want to do things the right way. I think D'Amico's explanation about the situation from a defensive perspective yesterday, well, quite frankly, was spot on. You know, it's a tough situation.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. I mean, look, little white guy, it's not a tough situation. Your player's a menace. I mean, what do you want me to tell you? I mean, it's pretty easy. Be love, baby. Be love. It's not a tough situation. The league spelled it out for you. The guy's a menace. John Cassio or Nick Casario or whoever the hell you are, he's a menace. What are you talking about? Kyrie Irving faced a lawsuit. How many NBA players do we say this about every year? Let's just stop it right there. Faces a lawsuit. If you do business with an NBA player, you're an idiot. Face a lawsuit failing to pay a $400,000 therapy bill for an event he hosted in North Dakota. This is sad, where one of the attendees unexpectedly died. Hey, we're going to loan out our place to Kyrie Irving to have an event. What are you, nuts? Houston Mavericks guard Kyrie Irving accused of stiffing his longtime therapist. What is it with these guys and therapists? See Deshaun Watson. Natasha McCartney, $400,000 after inviting her to provide services at an event he hosted. These guys are always hosting events in North Dakota. Hey, Kyrie wants us to come to Bismarck and hang out a little bit. As reported by The Independent, a lawsuit was filed against Irving in the New York State Supreme Court. Claims that Irving accumulated significant costs for various services she offered at the players' 5-day event, which included meditation sessions, iconic foot baths, and intuitive life readings. Kyrie Irving, Mensa. Look, you're the dumbass lady that didn't get the money up front. Hey, Irving, I know you're an idiot. You're a proven idiot. I'm getting money up front, baby, or else, hey, ain't no chance I'm going to Bismarck or wherever it is. No. Also, one attendee at the event reportedly died, which required more services from McCartney, whom Irving is allegedly refusing to pay. She provided additional grief counseling following the attendee's unexpected death. Irving informed the therapist that his event would include roughly attendees, including relatives. Here's a shocker. Anyone that's ever coached basketball. He said, 60, but the number shot up approximately 150. Really? Really? Nothing ever changes, man. If you do business with an NBA player or a former Indiana University men's basketball player under Bob Knight, you're an idiot. That's all I'm going to tell you. Do it whatever you want. I was up last night thinking the dumbest rules in sports that I could possibly come up with. I'm thinking to myself, how can I ruin a game? What would be the dumbest? No out of bounds in basketball. Like if you all of a sudden said no out of bounds in basketball, Denzel would be jumped over maybe in the game. But baseball purists are up in arms over this alleged new rule proposal pushed apparently by Commissioner Rob Manfred, dubbed the Golden Bat Rule. A team would be allowed to send any player they want to the plate one time only during the game to take an at-bat. So, you know what? It's the bottom of the ninth. Ohtani just made the last out in the previous inning. You get a couple runners out, you're down 2. Yo, sit down, Ohtani's up. I ain't mad at it. It's really stupid, but I'm digging on it. I mean, why not? Why not? What the hell? You know what I mean? Might as well. Here it is. If this golden at bat becomes a thing, I swear to God, I will never watch another MLB game. Fire Rob Manfred now before he ruins the game. MLB is not the Savannah Bananas. Here comes angry reaction number 2. He's not wrong about that. It is not the Savannah Banana. Please, for the love of God, get rid of Rob Manfred before he does irreparable damage to the only sport I love. The guy doesn't have a single functioning brain cell in his head. You know, I like this one. Golden at bat. My ass. Here's number 3. Oh, got to put that one up a little bit. I got bad eyes today. While we're at it, why not let the golden at bat be one where the hitter can use a metal bat? This is the MIB equivalent. A kid shows up to the wiffle ball game with the red bat. Pathetic. Please stop.